The Fukushima disaster was the greatest single radioactive contamination of the ocean in history, and for local fishermen it could spell the end of their industry. While boats are still going out, their catches are not being sold, but being sent straight to the lab for analysis. And it's not just Japanese trawlers pulling in radioactive fish. North Asia correspondent Mark Willesee joined one fishing boat not far from the shattered Fukushima nuclear plant.
As the old maritime verse goes, red sky at morning, sailors take warning. But it's too late for these crews heading out to the Fukushima fishing grounds. The operator of the nuclear plant repeatedly ignored warnings about a big tsunami, and now their way of life has been poisoned by the meltdowns.
I think it's impossible for our industry here to recover in my lifetime. Even if we do get back on our feet, who will buy our fish?
From his boat off the coast, Akira Kaya witnessed one of the Fukushima reactor buildings explode the day after the tsunami hit. Now everything he hauls from the sea is sent to a laboratory rather than the market. So we're only about 20 kilometres from the Fukushima nuclear plant, and because of the southerly current, these are some of the most contaminated waters. These fishermen are particularly concerned about radioactive cesium, which has a half-life of about 30 years.
Of course I'm angry with the nuclear plant operated TEPCO. I'm a fisherman and I've lost my income.
But it's not just the fishermen of Fukushima worried about what they catch. Last month, 15 bluefin tuna hooked off the US west coast were found to be contaminated with cesium from Fukushima. Back at port, just south of the nuclear plant, the fish are sorted by species before being sent to the lab.
The fish are still dangerous. Last week we tested fish from 40 kilometres out, and nearly 1/3 were above the contamination safety limit.
But what about these fish from our expedition 20 kilometres out? The ABC was later told a quarter of the catch was above the maximum radiation limit. One fish had contamination levels 16 times what's considered safe. Mark Willesee, ABC News.
On April 13th, the Japanese government announced the release of more than 1 million tons of contaminated water into the sea from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear station. This move has been opposed by its own fishing industry and neighboring countries like South Korea, China, and Taiwan. According to the government, the first release of water will take place in about 2 years. This time period will give the plant's operator, Tokyo Electric Power Company or TEPCO, time to begin filtering the water to remove harmful isotopes, build infrastructure, and acquire regulatory approval. Japan has argued that the water release is necessary to press ahead with the complex decommissioning of the plant after it was crippled by a 2011 earthquake and tsunami. They pointed out that similarly filtered water is routinely released from nuclear plants around the world. Nearly 1.3 million tons of contaminated water are stored in huge tanks at the Fukushima Daiichi plant at an annual cost of about 100 billion yen, but space is running out. South Korea expressed serious concerns that the decision could bring a direct and indirect impact on the safety of people and the surrounding environment. Fishing unions in Fukushima have urged the government for years not to release the water, arguing it would have a catastrophic impact on the industry. TEPCO plans to filter the contaminated water to remove isotopes, leaving only tritium, a radioactive isotope of hydrogen, which is hard to separate from water. They will then dilute the water until tritium levels fall below regulatory limits before pumping it into the ocean. Tritium is considered to be relatively harmless because it does not emit enough energy to penetrate human skin and other nuclear plants. The United States noted that Japan has worked closely with the International Atomic Energy Agency in its handling of the site since the meltdown in 3 reactors a decade ago. A Scientific American article reported in 2014 that tritium can raise cancer risks, while some experts are also worried about other contaminants.